I jolted awake to a deafening void, no soothing splash of water, no soft hum of the pool filter, no dazzling blue reflections pirouetting across my bedroom ceiling. Just a chilling, unnatural silence that gripped the air like a bad omen. What the heck was going on? Confused and half-dazed, I fumbled for my slippers, my heart thudding as I stumbled outside. The sight that hit me was so utterly ridiculous I had to blink twice. Am I still dreaming? My pool, my glorious, sprawling, painstakingly cared for backyard sanctuary, was gone. Not a single drop of water left. That shimmering crystal clear haven I'd poured my soul into now gaped back at me like a dry, mocking crater in the earth. I stood there, jaw dangling, until I spotted them, a smug little posse of HOA members lurking at the edge of my property, arms crossed like they'd just won some grand victory. And there she was, leading the pack, Karen McIntyre, the neighborhood's self-crowned dictator of petty rules and relentless meddling. Clipboard in hand, she flashed me a smirk so smug it could have curdled milk. "Good morning, Ethan," she chirped, her voice oozing with that fake sweetness that made my skin crawl. "I see you've noticed our little adjustment." Adjustment? The first nearly choked on the word as it tumbled out of me. "Karen, what in the ever-loving hell happened to my pool?" She sighed a long, theatrical huff, as if I were some petulant child throwing a tantrum over a broken toy. "Can you believe this woman? The HOA board voted unanimously to drain it," she said, gesturing lazily toward my mailbox where a garish yellow envelope screamed for attention. "We sent you a notice 2 weeks ago." I lunged for it, tearing it open with trembling hands. The words hit me like a slap. HOA violation #237B, unauthorized water waste. Effective immediately. Fine, $2,500. I let out a laugh, sharp, hollow, and borderline unhinged, as I scanned the absurdity again. You actually drained my pool without my permission?" I sputtered, my voice climbing higher with every syllable. Karen's smirk stretched wider, like she was savoring every second of my disbelief. "It's not about permission, Ethan. It's about responsibility. We're in a drought." "A drought?" I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Since when?" "The city hasn't said a word about a drought." "Well," she sniffed, nose tilting skyward, "the HOA has declared one. We have to set an example." "An example?" I flung my arms toward the pristine, HOA-mandated golf course just blocks away, its sprinklers gleefully dousing the grass like it was a tropical paradise. "What about that monstrosity? Or that gaudy fountain at the community center that nobody even likes? Or, here's a wild thought, the fact that I pay for my own freaking water." Karen chuckled, a patronizing little sound that made my blood boil. "Oh, Ethan, homeowners don't always know what's best for the community. That's why we're here to make the tough calls for you." I sucked in a slow, shaky breath, fighting the urge to unleash a tirade that'd land me in handcuffs. "You drained my pool," I growled, my voice dropping to a dangerous simmer, "for wasting water. I paid for it in a neighborhood that guzzles more on pointless shrubs than a small town." "That's correct," she chirped, unfazed. I raked a hand through my hair, my rage bubbling so hot I could have sworn steam was pouring out of my ears. "And if I refuse to pay this insane fine?" Her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. "Then we slap a lien on your house, of course." My jaw locked so tight, I thought my teeth might shatter. Who does she think she is? This wasn't just some petty HOA overreach. This was a full-on power grab. A slap in the face disguised as community standards. Draining my pool? That's not an inconvenience, that's war. I stepped closer, locking eyes with her, my voice eerily calm despite the storm raging inside me. "You know what, Karen? I don't think you have the faintest clue who you're messing with." She scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was some melodramatic teenager. "Oh, Ethan, don't be so theatrical. Rules are rules." A laugh clawed its way out of me, not a happy one. "Oh no, but the kind that sends chills down spines, the kind that says, you're about to regret everything. Because Karen, she was clueless. I took a deep breath, a flicker of wicked satisfaction sparking through my fury. Let me ask you something, Karen. Where do you think the water in this precious little neighborhood comes from? Her smug mask slipped, just for a heartbeat. The city, obviously, she snapped. I grinned a slow, predatory grin that made her blink. Wrong. Her frown deepened, confusion creeping in. What? I crossed my arms, letting the weight of the moment settle like a storm cloud. You see, Karen, 20 years ago, when this place was just dirt and dreams, the original landowners didn't sell the water rights to the city. They sold them to a private investor. Her brows knitted tight. What's that got to do with anything? I tilted my head, savoring the reveal. That investor? That was me. Silence crashed down thick, glorious silence. I swear I could hear her brain grinding to a halt. She blinked twice, then forced out a laugh brittle and fake as a plastic flower. That's ridiculous! Is it? I shot back, my grin widening. Her fingers tightened around that stupid clipboard like it was her last lifeline. You're lying. Am I? For the first time ever, I saw it, Karen, the unshakable tyrant, faltering. Her confidence flickered, her shoulders stiffened, and I knew she was scrambling. Of course she didn't know HOA busybodies like her never bother with the fine print. I couldn't resist twisting the knife. You know that emergency water conservation fee you're itching to slap on everyone? I asked, all casual-like. Be a real shame if there wasn't any water to conserve, huh? Her face drained of color. Oh, it was beautiful. I leaned in, dropping my voice to a whisper that could have frozen fire. You just picked a fight with the guy who controls every last drop in this neighborhood. She stumbled back a step, grasping for control. You can't just turn off the water, can I? I fired back, my smile sharp as a blade. Her mouth flapped open, then shut, no words, just pure, delicious panic. I gave her shoulder a mock-friendly pat. Oh, Karen, you really should have read the contract. And with that, I spun on my heel and strutted off, leaving her there speechless, rattled, and powerless for the first time in her miserable reign. The next morning, I plopped onto my porch with a steaming mug of coffee, soaking in the calm before the storm. Birds chirped, joggers pounded the pavement, sprinklers whirred in perfect harmony. The HOA's precious golf course gleamed under the sun, untouched by their so-called drought. Almost a pity it was all about to crumble. I savored one last sip, grabbed my phone, and made the call. 5 minutes, 5 measly minutes, and chaos erupted. Sprinklers sputtered like dying gasps. At first, folks shrugged, maybe a glitch. Then it hit hard, hoses trickled to nothing. A lady gawked as her garden nozzle wheezed air. What's happening? The yelling started. Oh, it was music to my ears. Karen burst out of her house, bathrobe flapping, phone glued to her ear, stomping toward the HOA office like a woman possessed. Her minions trailed behind, faces twisted in confusion. I lounged on my porch, sipping away, watching her smugness melt into raw frustration. Then the panic really kicked in. Neighbors banged on doors, whispering about the outage. A guy in gym shorts cursed at his dry faucet. A woman stared at her half-full tub like it was gold. The golf course sprinklers choked mid-spray, leaving the greens to bake. The community center fountain, dead silent after one last gurgle. Karen's voice turned shrill, barking orders at her helpless crew. She waved her phone like a magic wand. Good luck with that, lady. I knew she was calling the city, and oh, was she in for a shock. I stretched, sauntered down the street, blending into the growing crowd outside the HOA office, just another concerned neighbor, right? People shouted for answers, and Karen looked ready to snap. Everyone, stay calm, she screeched, her voice anything but soothing. We're fixing this, it'll be back soon. A woman in a bathrobe smirked. Oh, now it's a problem? I thought you were all about saving water. Karen's eye twitched priceless. She spotted me, and her face twisted with fury. "Ethan," she hissed, "do you know something about this?" I paused, relishing the moment. "Me? Gosh, Karen, I thought the HOA had everything under control." "Isn't that why you drained my pool to teach us all a lesson?" The crowd buzzed louder. Were they catching on? Karen snapped, "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Enjoying my neighbor's suffering." "No way!" I said, mock horrified. "But it's pretty wild how fast the HOA's losing it when they're not calling the shots, huh?" She glared, then barked at a board member, "Call the city now." The guy dialed, then paled. "They say they don't control our water." Karen's jaw dropped. "That's insane, they have to." "Nope," I chimed in, grinning ear to ear. The crowd hushed. "See, way back when this place was built, the city didn't buy the water rights. A private investor did." Karen's eyes blazed. "And that was you?" "Bingo," I said, tapping my chest. A gasp rippled through the mob. "You're bluffing," she spat. "Check the records." I shot back. "I own every drop here. The city never got it. And the HOA? Clueless as always." Her fists clenched as the truth sank in. "You can't shut it off." "Oh, can't I?" The crowd murmured, rebellion brewing. "Fine, you win," she choked out. "Turn it back on." I clucked my tongue. "Not so fast, Karen. Water's a business now, and after your stunts, my rates won't be so generous." Her face went scarlet. "You're holding us hostage." "No, I'm giving folks a choice," I countered. "Stick with your crazy fees or buy from me fair and square." The HOA's reign was crumbling, and Karen knew it. A grizzled old-timer piped up, "I'm done with the HOA, I'm with Ethan." "Me too," another yelled. Voices piled on, and Karen's empire shattered before her eyes. She stormed off, clipboard in tow, but it was over. The next day, the water stayed off sprinklers dead, faucets dry. Neighbors rallied, demanding the HOA's end. Votes poured in, no confidence in Karen. By week's end, the HOA was toast and peace reigned. Karen? She packed up and vanished, defeated. From my refilled pool, I toasted to freedom's sweet, sweet victory. "Everyone, please, just stay calm." Karen's voice cracked through the air, but, oh, was it anything but calm, more like a frantic plea teetering on the edge of hysteria. "We're figuring this out, I swear, and the water will be back any minute," she insisted, her words tumbling over each other. The crowd wasn't buying it, not even close. A few homeowners stood there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed with doubt. A woman in a bathrobe, hair still dripping from a half-finished shower, arched an eyebrow and fired back. "Oh, so it's a problem now? I thought the HOA was all about saving water. What happened to that?" Karen's eye twitched like a ticking bomb, but she plastered on a smile so fake it could have been painted on. "Yes, conservation matters, but this is an unexpected glitch in the system." I almost felt a pang of pity for her, almost. But come on, after everything she'd pulled? Then her gaze snapped to me, cutting through the crowd like a laser, her face twisting into a cocktail of suspicion and barely leashed fury. "Ethan," she barked, her voice tight as a coiled spring. "Do you know something about this?" Oh, the sweet, sweet moment. I let it linger, savoring it like a fine wine before giving her a lazy shrug. "Me? Gosh, Karen, I'm just as stumped as everyone else. I mean, isn't the HOA supposed to have our water needs locked down? Wasn't that the whole point of draining my pool, to teach me some big lesson about responsibility?" The crowd's murmurs swelled. A low rumble of realization. Was it finally clicking for them? Karen's own smug reasoning was boomeranging right back into her smug little face. Her patience was fraying. Heck, it was practically threadbare. "You're loving this, aren't you?" she snapped, her tone sharp enough to slice through steel. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. "Loving the fact that my neighbors can't even wash their dishes or take a shower?" No way, Karen, that's awful. But you've got to admit, it's pretty darn fascinating how fast the HOA's unraveling, now that you're not the one pulling every string. She glared at me, eyes blazing, then whipped around to a board member. Call the city right now, she ordered. The poor guy nodded, fumbling with his phone, his face shifting from hopeful to ashen in seconds. He lowered it, voice trembling as he muttered, "They say they don't control our water." Karen's jaw locked tight. Did I hear her teeth grind? That's absurd. Of course they do. I couldn't help it. I grinned, wide and unapologetic. No, Karen, they don't. The crowd fell silent, the air thick with shock. The truth slammed into her like a freight train, and I let it hang there, heavy and glorious, before stepping forward, hands casually tucked in my pockets. Here's the deal. Years back, when this neighborhood was just a blueprint and some dirt, the city didn't snag the water rights. They figured they'd get them later, but the developers? They had other ideas. Karen's eyes narrowed, her whole body screaming she wanted to strangle me. And let me guess you're the genius behind it? I nodded, slow and deliberate, relishing every second. Yup, sold to a private investor me. I tapped my chest with a flourish. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Did they see it now? Karen's face contorted in disbelief, like she'd just bitten into a lemon. You're lying, she spat, desperation creeping in. I shrugged, cool as ice. Go ahead. Check the records, it's all there, plain as day. I own every single drop that flows into this place. The city never bought them back. And the HOA? Ha! You clowns didn't even know it wasn't theirs to boss around. The weight of it crashed over her. Could she feel it sinking in? So, I went on, voice smooth as silk. When you drained my pool and cooked up those laughable water conservation fees, you were barking orders about something you had zero control over. Her fists clenched, knuckles whitening. Oh, she was mad. You can't just shut off the water, she hissed, her voice trembling with a mix of rage and fear. I grinned wider. Can't I? The homeowners buzzed, louder whispers turning into a roar of defiance. The HOA had been lording over us forever, but now they were naked, exposed for the frauds they were. Karen's breath hitched, her eyes darting around like a cornered animal. Fine, you win. Turn it back on, she choked out, practically spitting the words. I clicked my tongue, savoring the power shift. Oh, Karen, it's not that easy. Water's a business, sweetheart, and after the way you've been running this circus, I'm not feeling too generous with my pricing anymore. Her face flushed a furious red. Did she just growl? You're holding the whole neighborhood hostage, she shrieked, pointing at me like I was some cartoon villain. I raised an eyebrow, calm as ever. Hostage? No, I'm giving people a choice. They can keep shelling out your insane HOA fees for nothing, or they can buy water straight from me, fair, honest rates. It was pure poetry. The HOA had bled us dry for years with their rules and fines. And now, they were powerless. Karen knew it. I could see it in the way her shoulders slumped, the defeat creeping into her eyes like a slow fog. Then, out of the chaos, a gravelly voice cut through. An older guy, one of the HOA's long-suffering victims. You know what? I'm done with this nonsense. I'm buying my water from Ethan. Another voice piped up. Me too. Then another, and another. Holy cow, it was a chorus. Karen's eyes widened in pure, unfiltered horror as her kingdom crumbled right there in the street. This wasn't just about water anymore. Oh no, this was the death knell for the HOA. She looked ready to combust, her face glowing redder by the second, hands shaking as she clung to her crumbling facade. But there was no saving it. The crowd shifted. People who'd cowered under her thumb for years now stood tall, eyeing her with a mix of glee and scorn. They'd been suffocating under her petty tyranny, and now they had a lifeline, one that didn't involve kissing her ring. She sucked in a ragged breath, clutching her clipboard like it could shield her from the inevitable, then spun to her board members. We're not done here, she hissed, barely audible, before storming back into the HOA office. Her lackeys hesitated, swapping nervous looks before trailing after her. Did they know it was over too? I didn't bother following. Why would I? The damage was done, and I could practically script her next move. Karen wasn't the type to wave a white flag, not yet. She'd dig in, clawing for any shred of control, and oh, was she about to bury herself deeper. I let the crowd thin out, shaking hands and nodding at the folks already jumping ship to my side. How soon can we switch? A few asked, eyes bright with hope. Soon, I promised, keeping it vague. Why rush? The longer the HOA squirmed, the sweeter it got. Inside that office, I knew they were bickering, Karen probably screeching for a loophole, some magic fix to turn this around. But guess what? There wasn't one. Those water rights were mine, ironclad, legal, untouchable. Court? They'd crash and burn. By afternoon, my inbox pinged an email from the HOA, all official and stern, claiming they'd take emergency action to stabilize the water situation. Serious stuff, huh? Except I knew the truth. Karen was flailing, grasping at straws. That night, I kicked back on my porch, watching shadows move, HOA cronies sneaking around, whispering like they were in some spy flick. What were they up to? Calling in favors? Begging the city to bail them out? Didn't matter. While they plotted in the dark, something bigger was brewing. The homeowners were done. And I mean done at lightning speed. Come morning, a new crowd swarmed the HOA office, not a protest. Oh no, a reckoning. They were livid not just about the water, but the whole rotten deal. The fines that made no sense. The rules that choked us. The way the HOA had been leeching our wallets dry for years with nothing to show for it. Karen staggered out, exhaustion etched into her face, but still clinging to that defiant spark. We've got this, she pleaded. The city's promised water soon. Nobody bought it. Were her lies finally crumbling? Then the votes hit like a tidal wave. Every HOA has that no confidence clause, right? Usually it's a snooze, nobody bothers. But not today. These folks were on fire. They'd seen the cracks, and now they were smashing the whole system apart. I didn't even have to nudge it along, it just happened. Karen flailed emergency meetings, frantic emails, even veiled threats to keep her crown, but it was pointless. Votes stacked up like firewood, and people were through with her reign of nonsense. By week's end, it was official. The HOA was kaput. The air felt lighter, like a storm had finally blown out. Neighbors cracked open champagne right in their driveways. Can you believe it? The golf course, that HOA shrine, sat abandoned, sprinklers dead. The community center? Just a husk now. And Karen, she was the last holdout. I caught her staring at the empty HOA lot, the weight of it all sinking in. No power, no control, not even that cushy paycheck she'd milked from our dues. She trudged over, spotting me watching, her steps heavy, no more of that bossy strut. You orchestrated this, she said, voice low and raw. I sipped my drink, shrugging. Nope. Karen, you built this mess all by yourself. She laughed, bitter and broken. What? You're some hero now? Think this place is better off without the HOA? I think folks deserve to live without a power-hungry nag breathing down their necks. I shot back. She rubbed her temples, defeated. What's next? I smirked. You get to be a regular Joe. No perks, no fines, just paying for water like the rest of us. Her glare flickered, but it was hollow. She was spent. She turned, shuffling back to her house. Days later, a moving truck rolled up. Surprise. Surprise! Karen couldn't hack it without her throne. As it peeled away, I raised a glass from my sparkling refilled pool, watching her era vanish down the road. Peace real. Honest peace settled over us at last. Oh, how these stories ignite a fire in me, about the absurdity of control freaks meddling in our lives. I'm absolutely fed up with petty tyrants like Karen who strut around wielding power they don't even understand, all under the guise of community good. It's infuriating. People should have the freedom to live as they please my pool, my water, my rules. Why should anyone endure some clipboard-wielding busybody dictating how we enjoy our own homes? This isn't about conservation, it's about ego, plain and simple. And I'm cheering Ethan for flipping the script with such glorious defiance. Socially, it's a wake-up call. Why do we let these HOA clowns lord over us? I feel a surge of joy seeing neighbors rally, breaking free from years of suffocating nonsense. It's not just water at stake, it's dignity, autonomy, the right to say, enough. I'm thrilled by the chaos that toppled Karen's reign. It's a delicious reminder that power built on arrogance crumbles fast when challenged. Lifestyle-wise, I'm all in for Ethan's vibe, sipping coffee on the porch, watching the petty empire fall, then toasting from a refilled pool. That's living! No overreaching rules, just peace earned through guts and grit. But here's what burns me. How many Karens are out there still bullying folks into submission? It's a disgrace. We need more Ethans, people who know their worth and wield it with a smirk. This isn't just a neighborhood spat. It's a battle cry for personal freedom against suffocating control. I'm emotional because it hits home. Nobody should feel trapped in their own space by someone else's delusions of grandeur. Let's tear down these petty kingdoms and live free. Cheers to that.